All right, men, welcome to today's episode of Strong Men, Strong Marriages, how to rebuild trust after infidelity. So if you've been unfaithful emotionally or sexually to your wife, it causes a lot of damage. And, a lot of times guys kind of mistake how to restore trust. Like this is the core and, the foundation of what makes a marriage work. There's trust and then there's communication and then there's intimacy. So infidelity really destroys that foundation of trust. It can be rebuilt, but a lot of guys make mistakes, and when they try to do that, you're going to learn those mistakes and what to do instead today. So my name is Mike Frazier, MD, and I help high-achieving Christian men have more intimate marriages. So I want to share some wins from our group. So there's a group of men who have committed to really make the changes that they need to make to create an amazing marriage, including after infidelity. So, guys are doing great things. They're creating more connection through conflict. A lot of times we're afraid to create conflict, to share our opinions. And sometimes that is what leads to infidelity is we just feel like we haven't had our voice heard for a long time. So we go to someone who does listen, right? And, it can turn to an emotional connection, then a sexual connection. So, guys are breaking that pattern and they're actually bringing up what's important to them so that they can create that connection, right? And so you have that intimacy in your marriage. You're not looking for it for somewhere else. Guys are catching their judgmental thinking. So if you've listened to this podcast for a while, a big problem for high achieving guys is we think we know better than everybody else, including our wife. And so we can start thinking that the way that she's thinking or acting is dumb or stupid, right? And that condescending attitude is very unattractive to her. So guys, they're catching that and they're shifting it and they're creating more connection. Their wife's all of a sudden more attracted to her. And it doesn't take that long. That's the nice thing. Like your wife is committed to you. If you have kids, right, there's a connection there. So, of course, Parker's afraid that you're going to, go back to your old ways, but mainly she just wants you to be a guy that, is not judgmental of her and that cares. So, when she sees that, she can respond pretty quickly. So guys are having increased connection and affection because of these changes that they're making, right? Their wife's coming to them instead of them chasing her. It's just super cool to see. Their wives are opening up at deeper levels than ever before. So when we start being someone that's trustworthy, right, that doesn't make everything about him, that actually listens to his wife, she's going to feel more willing to open up to you. So again, you got to have that foundation of trust first, which is what we're talking about today. And then communication starts opening up because she actually feels safe to talk with you, right? So for me, my wife and I, we had an awesome date night, a really fun weekend together. We celebrated Father's Day because I was out of town over Father's Day. And then last week we just couldn't do it. So just a cool day, for me. And another breakthrough for me was, when the kids kind of oppose me, I tend to get into this very sort of confrontational mode with them. And basically, like, I feel like I'm in opposition to them. And so, last week I shared about like being a faithful fan of theirs, but then today or yesterday, talking with my wife and thinking through this, just remembering like I'm on the same team. Like I want to be on their same team. I don't want to be opposing them in any way. Right. And so that was just a good breakthrough and good reminder for me. So coming back to the theme of today. So when you're trying to restore trust, after infidelity, if you were unfaithful, like you feel horrible about it, right? And you want to stop feeling so terrible. Excuse me. You want to stop feeling so guilty. You want to stop feeling, so bad. When you see your wife hurt, you feel bad, right? So usually you apologize to your wife for what you've done. I'm so sorry I did this to you. That was wrong. I feel so bad. I'm hurting by this too. So these are all things I've heard guys say, right? And we'll get into why it's a problem. But yeah, you tell her how terrible you feel about it. I feel so guilty. I feel so shameful. I can't believe I did this. Right? And then you're like, look, I just want to move forward from this. It happened. We can't do anything about it. Let's just move forward, right? So we can both start feeling better. Okay, you can feel better. I can feel better. I know it's hard, but we got to put it in the past. We can't go backwards. We can't change it, right? And it's true, but it's not effective in rebuilding trust. And we'll get into why. The other thing guys will do is they'll tell their wife literally like, come on, like you just need to trust me, right? Can't you just trust me? One of the worst things you can say to your wife, don't you dare say that. If you're saying that right now, never do it again, Okay. If you were unfaithful, just never do it again. Now, it also happens. I have guys that are coming in where their wife has been unfaithful. And so, in this case, these are things that you're going to need from your wife, right? So if you're on the other side of the infidelity, your wife's going to need to do the things we're talking about for you to actually trust her again. Okay. Same concept, but we're just going to use the example of you being unfaithful to her. But again, if she was unfaithful to you, you got to look at it from this perspective that she also needs to rebuild trust, and that you don't have to give it to her. And in fact, you can't just give her trust. She has to earn it back. Just like you're going to have to earn trust back over time. It's not a gift. It's something that gets earned. Okay. So here's how wild this is not working, right? So when you tell her how bad you feel, it's all about you, right? When you were the one that hurt her, you were the one that was selfish by doing this. You didn't you hurt her really badly by doing this. And so when you make it about you, right? It's basically like you punch her in the face and then you're like, oh, that really hurt my hand. Okay. Like it's so dumb, but guys do this all the time, right? Oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I feel so guilty. Like that's all dumb. You do feel guilty, but like, again, you punched her in the face. Like you broke her bones. Like you broke her nose, right? And so when you're like, oh, I got this little bruise on my hand. It hurts so bad. It's so dumb, but guys do it all the time. Okay. So it doesn't work because it's selfish, right? Having the affair was selfish. And then you telling her how bad you feel is also selfish. So it's all part of the same problem. It's destroying trust, right? Instead of rebuilding trust after infidelity, you are, making it worse. Okay. You're eventually injuring her again by saying, look, I don't even see your pain. I'm just going to focus on mine, right? Which again is probably what drove you to the affair, which is again, destroying trust. Okay. It's selfish. It doesn't get into her pain at all, right? Again, her nose is broken, but you're complaining about your hand hurting because you punched her in the nose. Okay. The other thing, so when guys go into this mode of like, look, let's just move on, right? Let's just move on. It doesn't recognize the damage that you've done. It minimizes everything. And again, it's understandable because you are hurting, right? You do feel bad for what you did. But when you're like, come on, let's just move on, it minimizes how serious it is. Okay. And like that broken nose, your nose is broken, but who cares? Like we need to move forward. No, that's not right. Like you need to be in there trying to help her heal. Okay. We're using the broken nose analogy, but really an affair is like breaking every bone in your body, right? That's basically what you did to her by this. She's like in a body cast here. Then you're like, come on, let's move on, right? Get up and start walking. No, that's not how it works. She has to take time to recover, right? And your job is to just sit there next to her while she's in that body cast and listen, right? And try to help her and just be there with her, right? You're the one that put her in that body cast, right? And so she's going to have a hard time trusting you. And so the more that you're like, oh, you're in this body cast, but I'm in a lot of pain too. She's just like, dude, shut up, man. I don't want to hear any of that. I'm not trusting you at all. You're still making it about you. Okay. Or let's just move forward. Come on, get up and walk. Again, just it doesn't acknowledge the level of damage done to her. Okay. And she needs time to heal. Okay. So the other part of this is when you say stuff like, come on, just trust me again. You just got to trust, like it's a decision that she can just make to trust you again. That's not how trust works. Okay. You lost trust. I like to use the analogy of a brick house of trust. Okay. So we'll talk about this a little bit more, but like each brick in that house is a promise that you made and kept. And so once you like have enough of those, your wife says, okay, like I can trust you. Okay. But it's a house that gets built over time. So when you have an affair, you basically knock that house to the ground. Like you level it. You took a wrecking ball to it. It's on the ground. Okay. And so you're like, come on, just trust me again. It's impossible. Okay. That house is still on the ground. So she can't just decide, oh yeah, I trust you. Yeah, the house is built. No, you have to build that house. You have to build it. Okay. She can't just decide, oh, it's built. Right. And this is where couples get into trouble, is because they think that, like the wife will think, okay, yeah, I probably should just trust him. No, you really shouldn't. There's no reason for you to trust this guy. Like he has to earn it back. Okay. So what do you do instead? So instead of running away from her pain, you actually go into it, right? You try to understand it deeply. Okay. She's in that body cast, instead of being like, okay, yeah, time to get up and walk, or like, oh, this hurts me too. You're just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. That must be so painful for you, man. How's your arm today? Oh yeah, that's broken too. Man, that's gotta hurt. Must stink. You can't like reach out and take a cup of water. You have to have somebody else give it to you. Okay. So that's the level of getting into her pain that you want. Oh wow, you probably feel like your trust in me is destroyed, right? You probably wonder about how that's going to affect the kids. You probably are second guessing like a lot of our past, how much time do I even care about you or not, right? Maybe some questions about God. Look, I was trying to do the right thing and I got destroyed by my husband. Like, that doesn't seem fair. How did God let this happen to me? Okay, you're probably feeling all of that. Okay, that's what getting into her pain is, versus the opposite, which is probably what you're doing now, which is like, yeah, I'm sorry, and let's move forward. You know, basically not going into her pain at all. Again, using that body cast analogy. Come on, just get up and walk. Like, it's not that bad, right? And again, it's understand how badly you've hurt her. Like, the level of damage is so serious. Yeah, it's like every bone in her body has been broken by you. Okay, it's not just did she get in a car accident, but you like hit her with the car. Okay, and so there's the damage, but there's also the betrayal aspect of that, which is, this was a guy that's supposed to take care of me, but he ran over me with a car. Like, how am I supposed to reconcile that? It's very hard, right? Again, it's not impossible, but what I'm saying is just the more you try to minimize it, the worse it's going to get, the less she's going to trust you. Okay. And versus the more you say, yeah, I really messed things up here. Look at everything that I did. I'm very sorry. Look at the damage that I did. Okay. Again, it's counterintuitive because you want to think, well, if she focuses on that, then things are never going to get better. It's actually the exact opposite. When you focus on it, she can say, oh, he actually gets it. He actually understands how bad this is. Now maybe things actually can get better. But until you recognize it can't get better. It's like taking a doctor frame, right? Like, you can't heal from a disease until that disease is diagnosed. Okay. And so when you get into her pain, you're kind of diagnosing the pain, you're diagnosing the illness. Okay. So again, when you get into that pain, she actually believes that you kind of get how serious it is. Because if you hit her, if you ran over with your car, but you think it's like bumped into her at the store, right? You like knocked shoulders with her. She's going to be like, dude, you do not get it. Like, I'm here in a body cast and you think I just like have a tiny little scratch on my arm. Like, you don't get it. So how can I ever believe that you're going to like not do this again, or believe that you're going to be here with me when you don't even get the pain that I'm in? How can you be with me if you don't understand it? Right? That's what's going through her mind. So the more you get into her pain, the more she can actually start to believe, okay, like maybe things can get different. Maybe he can not hurt me again because he actually gets how bad he hurt me this time. Okay. So the other big part in here, instead of being like, okay, let's move this along, right? Time to trust me again. You just have to be patient. Healing is going to take as long as it takes. And you just have to take the mindset of, hey, look, you're in this body cast here. As long as it takes, I'm here with you. I don't care if it takes 20 years. I don't care if it takes, 100 years. Like, I'm here. I caused this damage. Now I'm here with you as you heal. Okay. I'm just going to be patient and be here. So that's the framework that's going to get you much farther. Again, it seems counterintuitive because you're like, well, if I think it's going to take forever, then she's going to take forever. Opposite. Okay. When you just take the frame of, hey, look, as long as it takes, I'm here with you, that speeds up the process. Okay. Again, huge mistake guys make. Oh, just trust me. Come on, just choose to trust me. No, like, your job is to be trustworthy. Don't you dare ask her to trust you. Okay. You just say, hey, look, I lost your trust. The only way I'm going to get it back is by being a trustworthy person. Right. So you shouldn't trust me right now. Of course you shouldn't. Look what I did. It's going to take me time to rebuild that house of trust. Okay. And you don't ask her to trust you. You have to be the one putting those bricks down, right? She can't do it. You have to put the bricks down. Okay. So again, that brick house of trust. And each brick that you put down, it's a promise that you make and keep. Okay. And so now here's the thing, right? Some of these things she's going to see, right? So, if you say you're going to take the trash out, she's going to see if you do it or not, right? If you say you're going to pick the kids up, she's going to see if you do it or not. Okay. Some things she's not going to see, right? So you might say, I'm not going to look at pornography. And then if you don't look at it, you've kept your word, but she may not necessarily know one way or the other. You can always kind of sneak around that. Or you can say like, no, I didn't contact the affair person today, but maybe you did, right? You can kind of sneak around it. And so that's always in the back of her mind, right? Because you blew her trust, in the back of her mind's always like, well, he could be lying about that. Okay. And there's not much you can do about that. That's just the consequence because you knocked down that brick house, right? But the way that you can speed this process up is as many bricks as you can, have those verified. Okay. Every opportunity you have, try to have her verify it, right? And you can't force it on her, but just anytime that you can verify it, just make really sure you're following through. So again, like the trash taking out, just make sure you do that. If you say you're going to be home at 5, just be home at 5, right? Because each time that she sees that, then she can think, okay, these things that I can't necessarily see, maybe I can believe those are happening too, right? So slowly, this house gets rebuilt, right? And there's always that question of, well, I'm not seeing everything. So he could still be, sneaking around. He could still be contacting this person and she won't know 100%. And that's the other thing you have to understand about this. Like there's always that doubt in the back of her mind. You've done it before. You could do it again, right? You really could. Now, only you're going to know for sure if you've done it or not, right? And you carry yourself differently is the truth, right? You carry yourself differently when you're a man of integrity, when you're a man of your word. So that also does come through, because you're just feeling stronger because you're a trustworthy guy. You're following through with what you say, right? There's a different frequency, a different energy when we're telling the truth versus when we're not. So, that does happen too, is what I'm saying. Like when you're honest all the way through, it does come across in your energy. But again, the way to speed this process up is as much as possible, just have her actually verify the things that you say you're going to do. So phone monitoring is one way to go about this, which is, I recommend to couples. Sometimes they decide to do it, sometimes they don't. But again, it's just this idea of a lot of times the wife will think, well, I just have to trust him. No, she shouldn't trust, right? She shouldn't trust you. What she needs to do is, as much as possible, verify the stuff you're saying. And so some couples will decide, yeah, like let's do the phone monitoring. There's something called like M Spy or Spy Bubble. They're kind of unfortunate names that they all say spy in them, but they do what you would want an app to do, which is just track everything that's happening on your phone. Now, could you go out and get another phone? Yeah, right. And that's what your wife's probably thinking, and it is true. But when you're proactive about it, right? When you say, hey, look, I want you to be able to rebuild trust. And now I understand that the way that I rebuild trust is when I say something, you can actually verify it, right? Because I've said lots of things that you didn't verify that were a lie, right? And so now the way we're going to rebuild it is by me saying something and you being able to see, oh, yes, that's actually true. Okay. So, it's like our kids clean their room, right? And so sometimes they will come to us and say the room is clean, but actually it's not, right? And so the way that we restore trust on that is they say it's clean, and then we say, okay, great, let's go check it. And we check it together, right? And then we can say, okay, yeah, when you said it was clean, it was actually clean. And so now we slowly build trust in their word, right? So same idea here. You have to show that what you said is true, right? That's how trust is rebuilt. So again, with the phone monitoring, some guys will be like, oh, yeah, look at my phone whenever you want. But that's like a more reactive, very passive role. It puts all the responsibility on her to verify, which is not what you want. So the proactive approach, right, is like, hey, look, I blew your trust. I did 100%. So I've gone ahead, I've put this software on my phone. Here's the login for it. Anytime you want to check that, you can. If we want to set up like a daily check on this, that's no problem, right? I just want to show you, I really don't have anything to hide now, but I also want you to be able to verify that because you can't trust what I say. There's no reason for you to trust what I say. You should be verifying the things that I say right now. And I don't have a problem with that because now, like, that's who I want to be, is a guy that is trustworthy. Okay. So that is a much more trust building approach than like, oh yeah, sure, I told her she can look at my phone whenever, which is the approach a lot of guys take. It just does not rebuild trust as fast. Okay. So again, the phone is one piece of it, right? An important piece, but also just like, again, following through on what you say. I'm going to be home at this time. When I say I'm going to give this consequence to the kids, I do it. Every chance you have, for her to verify that you did what you said you're going to do is rebuilding trust. It's the brick that's going in. And guys, look, it's going to take hundreds, thousands of verified promises to rebuild trust. Okay. Again, ones that she verifies that you said you're going to do it, and she can somehow tell that you actually did it. Where you said you're not going to do it, she can somehow tell that you did not do it. That one's a little bit tougher, and that's why, that's what's tough about what you did, right? When you were unfaithful, that's always the question. Well, you said you didn't, but how do I prove that? It's kind of hard because it's like the absence of evidence, right? So yeah, I didn't see it, but maybe you hid it somewhere that I didn't see it. That's the hard part. And so these more active ways of rebuilding trust that you can verify, that's what works. But again, even when you're being honest and she can't see it, your energy is different, and you're trustworthy or not, right? That's the key. Right. So in summary, to rebuild trust after infidelity, number one, stop making it about you. Stop talking about your pain. Stop talking about how it hurts you to see her in pain. Just remove I from all of your conversation about the infidelity, right? So instead, you're digging into, wow, look what this did to you. Look what if it's any I, it's like, look what I did to you. Look how I hurt you, right? But then digging into her pain, here's probably how that makes you feel, right? Stop asking her to trust you. She can't. You have to rebuild trust by making and keeping promises. And get into her pain, not away from it. How did this affect her? You're sitting there, again, using the body cast analogy. How does your arm feel today? How does your back feel today, right? Getting into the pain, not trying to run away from it. Oh, stop complaining about that pain and then, get up and walk, right? So commit to integrity in everything. And again, this is the key. No matter what her response, no matter how long it takes, it does not matter. This is a now internal decision you have made. No matter what, you're a man of your word, okay? So again, that's how you rebuild trust. More than anything else is you committing to being trustworthy. Okay. And again, even if she's like, I don't trust you, you're like, you shouldn't, right? And, I don't really have a way to prove to you that I did not contact the affair person today. I didn't. But yeah, I get why you wouldn't believe me. There's no real reason for you to believe me. Right? And being proactive about the phone market. You can check the phones, but I understand. Like, I could use a different phone. It's possible. I didn't. But, of course, you're going to doubt that. You should doubt that. Right? So again, let her verify everything you say and be proactive about it. The more times you can show her and she can verify, yeah, I did what I said I'm going to do, then she can start trusting you. And again, there's also that energy that happens that is noticed, right? When you're telling the truth versus when you're not. Like, you feel better when you're telling the truth and people notice that. Okay? Again, this is what lays down the bricks that rebuild that house of trust, is you making and keeping promises. Okay? There is no other way to do it. There's no other way to rebuild trust than to be trustworthy, to make and keep your promises and have her verify them. And it takes time. I use that analogy of rebuilding that house because, look, you don't, like, one brick at a time, one day at a time. It's going to take lots of days and lots of promises to rebuild that house. So don't try to think it's going to be this super fast process, right? It's going to take her time to trust you because you have to build it by making and keeping those promises. Okay. So what do you need to do to make all this happen? And not just restore trust, but then add on communication and intimacy so that you get a great marriage. So again, you need the skill to commit to honesty no matter what your wife's response. It doesn't matter if she says every day, I don't believe you, I hate you. You're like, that's fine, right? I'm going to be honest no matter what. Okay. Even if she just decides to divorce you, you're going to be honest anyway, just because that's who you want to be. Okay. So to do this, it requires a deep spiritual strength, like a deep commitment to doing what's right no matter what. And, as a Christian guy, that's connecting to God and saying, like, look, I'm trying to follow God and Christ here. There are people that tell the truth. And so that's how I'm going to be too, no matter what. Okay. So that's a spiritual commitment. You also need emotional and mental strength to deal with the frustration of slow progress because, look, you're like, man, I feel this internal change. I feel so much better, but my wife just doesn't believe it. And that can be really frustrating, and then that can send you back into, well, then what's the point, right? I might as well just look at pornography. I might as well contact that affair person again, So you need mental and emotional strength to not do that. Okay. You need a really clear understanding of how you went this direction, how you were unfaithful, to make sure you don't do it again. Like, you need some deep understanding of that, right? What led me here? Okay. So when you're able to do that, what you get is strength, confidence, and genuine love for your wife. Okay. And a deep understanding of yourself so that you know what happened and you don't do it again. Okay. So now you feel solid. You feel confident. Look, I'm not going to do it again because I know what caused it. I know what thoughts I need to adjust. I know how I need to manage my emotions better. I know how I need to connect with God daily. Right. And that's who I am now. That's what I'm going to do no matter what. If you choose to leave me, I understand. I hope you don't. Right. But I'm committed to this anyway because I want that for our kids. I want that for all of us. Right. And for myself. So when you take that approach, it feels great and it's very attractive. You're actually doing the thing most likely to have your wife choose to be with you and to trust you again because you're actually being trustworthy. Okay. So again, the way that marriages stack up to having a great, intimate, amazing connection where you're best friends, you have the sexual intimacy as part of it, that passion, right? It takes trust first, which is what we talked about today. Then it takes communication, right? Being able to express yourself, understand her, get to win-win agreements, support each other in your hopes and dreams and fears, right? You're connected on your vision and mission in life. Okay, in that place, now you're in a great spot. And then you stack on top of that intimacy, right? We're able to bring up those difficult situations. We're able to bring fun, flirting, and passion. And then you've got it, right? You've got the amazing marriage that you want, right? And you can get there. So I'd love for you to join the program. If you're a high achieving Christian man that's trying to recover from infidelity, or you're facing a separation, or you just don't have that sexual connection there, you feel like you're doing everything right, but you don't have the sexual connection. Okay. If you fall into any of those categories, you're a high achieving Christian guy, I can help you. Okay. And I'd love to help you. So you can visit the link in the show notes. You're going to schedule a call and then fill out an application that we'll review on the call. Okay. So click that link, or you can visit mikefraziermd.com. That's MIKEFRAZIERMD.com. Or if it's easier to remember, strongmenstrongmarriages.com. It'll send you there. You click on that link that says work with me. It'll explain a little bit. And again, you schedule a call, fill out the application. We'll look at the application on the call. And you can get here. Even after infidelity, you absolutely can get here. But it takes this commitment, right? That you're going to be a trustworthy man no matter what. You're going to build these skills no matter what. Okay. Again, it's counterintuitive, but when you don't make it about your wife and winning her back, you make it about just you becoming a better choice for her. That's when you make it most likely that she's going to come back. That's when you actually restore trust because you're actually being trustworthy. Right, guys? So, yeah, if you want to recover after infidelity, you're probably going to need help to do it. I'd love to help you do it. So again, MikeFrazierMD.com, strongmarriages.com, click work with me, or click the link in the show notes or below the YouTube video here. All right, men, stay strong. We will see you next episode.